What's going on, everyone? Austin John Plays here, and today I'm going to be going over some helpful tips and tricks, some advice that I've learned in my vast amount of time playing the brand new game Timberborn. I know this is kind of coming out of left field. I mostly cover Nintendo Switch stuff. This is a Steam game that's in early access, and basically all of humanity the apocalypse happened. They're all living, and now it's just a bunch of beavers, and then you get to build a city revolving around beavers. The thing is, the game has a lot of opportunities that you can just immediately lose all the time. And I mean, I have pretty much, I would say almost 100% success rate, so I wanted to share some helpful tips and tricks and some advice and strategies that I've learned in my time playing this game. This game is still in early access, and as it stands at the time of recording, there are two factions. The Folk Tales and the Iron Teeth both have pros and cons, and I'm going to mostly be using the Folk Tales here because if it's your first time, you're going to be playing as them, and this one literally says recommended, the Plains biome, so that's where we're going to be going. Hard is its own complete different beast, and that might be a video for another day if, necessary. I'm just going to be doing normal. If you're having trouble with normal, you may want to do easy, but I'm going to be doing normal difficulty. Before we even do anything, there's a couple of things that I want to explain. We have cycles up here. If we look to the top right-hand corner, you're going to see cycles, and you're also going to see a weather pattern here. And it says forecast unknown currently. I know the forecast. Looking at the code of the game, anytime you play on normal difficulty, you have a set minimum and maximum of temperate weather and dry weather. And as it stands on normal difficulty, you're going to have between 13 and 17 days of temperate weather. And then you're going to have between 5 and 9 days of drought. However, there's a handicap. For the first 7 cycles, that drought is only going to be half as long. So there's a base multiplier that says for the first 7 cycles, it's going to be half as long. So basically, for the first cycle, you're going to have between 13 and 17 days. And then after that, you're going to have between 5 and 9, cut that in half, between 3 and 5, probably 3 and 4, it probably rounds down, I don't know that for a fact, between 3 and 4 days of drought. And it's going to be like that for the first week. After the first week, the droughts are going to be longer. So you have to think in mind, worst case scenario, there's going to be 9 days of drought. All right? For the first half, it's only going to be half as bad. Here's our starting area, and before you do anything, it's important to look at the map and see your water source. Our water source is going to be over here, and then water goes all the way through this entire place, and it exits the map over here. The water can exit the map on literally any side, so you need to pay attention to all the valleys. Like, say for example, if the water was high enough that it wanted to come through here and then go out this way, it totally could. It could exit the map over there. Let's look over here. These are berries. These berries are a very good early game food source. However, after the early game, these are kind of useless, especially for this faction. The other faction, it's used for reproductive needs, but that's talking about it later. This right here is a little barrier. This barrier, if you choose to demolish it, water will then flow inside of there, and anywhere that water touches, the area becomes lush and hydrated, allowing you to plant more things. I'm just going to choose to demolish it because you should always demolish it. The important thing to realize is at the beginning of the game, you have a finite amount of wood. On this level, you have a lot. You have this small forest here, this large lush forest, this dead part of the forest, and this alive part of the forest. You have even more berries over here, and then you also have dead trees over here in the back. So it's kind of hard to run out of wood. On some of the other maps, it's much easier. You can place down paths wherever you want, and you can actually use that to your advantage to spam some things, but pretty much all you need right now is a quick little line over to the berries. I'm going to move him over to the other berries, and then toward the trees. Your number one priority is water. That's the first thing that you have to do in this game. So I'm going to put down a pump. We're going to make sure that we have a path going to it. I'm going to make a line right there. And we also need wood in order to get that. Now, I'm going to explain a few important mechanics here, but I like to put down like 4 lumberjack flags as soon as I start off. Why 4? Because they're free. There's no cost to put these down. And right now we have 7 adults who can work right now, and the faster we gather wood, the faster we can put things down. I should have mentioned, pause the game as soon as you start. You actually have to put down a bunch of stuff before you even start playing the game. Make sure you mark an area for trees to be cut, otherwise there's going to be a fun little icon that says, I don't know what to do. That's great. And at the beginning of the game, it's sort of a rush in order for you to get the ability to put down a Forrester. The Forrester requires refined logs, which are planks. So you have to get down water, you have to get down food. In addition, we are going to be putting down a farmhouse, and I'm going to be putting it right here in the middle of this lush area. I also like to have a path directly leading to the entrance, and here, think of it sort of like a roundabout. And at the beginning of the game, you should only plant carrots. There's no reason to plant potatoes or wheat. They are good food sources. They do give you a lot of benefits. However, they do require refining. We have water down with the water pump. We have food down with the carrots. We have lumberjack flags down. Next thing we need down is science. I'm just going to put that literally off to the side. It does not require water or anything, so we're good. Oh, also, if you click your main building, I'm going to increase my workers to 4. You're going to see that you start with berries. You can choose to move your district center at the beginning of the game, but if you do, you lose those starting berries, which, as you see right here, are your only food source. I recommend not moving it at the beginning of the game. Some people also don't like moving it. And with that being said, now I'm going to define some priorities. Build those 4 as soon as possible, then this water pump. That's actually needed to live. Secondarily, we're going to be putting down the priority on here, and tertiarily, I think that's the word, is going to be the science center. Now, we just let the game run. These 4 people are going to come over here and build these 4 things. Good job, guys. I believed in you. I'm now going to reduce this by 1, and now we're going to have 4 people actively working at the lumberjack flag. They're going to slowly start going away, and then these 3 people, whenever there's wood available, they're now going to start building these things. Also, they demolished that. Good job. Now that we have the water pump created, we do need to put some tanks down, but it's not the biggest priority right now. So I'm actually going to take away another person from building. So now we have 4 people still cutting down trees. We have 2 people building wood from the said trees, and we have 1 person constantly pumping water. Next thing, I want to talk about the work cycle. You can choose how many hours that they work, and at the beginning of the game, there is no advantage to having them have off time. If we were to check a beaver's individual needs, they have hunger, sleep, and thirst. These 3 things are guaranteed to happen. The only time that you need to start giving them free time is when you start fulfilling things like social life. They won't guaranteed sleep in a house if they work 24 hours. So yeah, the only time you need to start reducing this is then. In the meantime, in the early game, you should just generally have them work 24 hours. You are Jeff Bezos. This is your Amazon warehouse. Let's keep going. Now that our farm is planted down, well, first of all, we need to staff it. We only need 1 at the beginning, and you should pretty much always prioritize planting, because that way if a plant goes down, they're going to be able to harvest it. They come back, they put down a seed immediately, then they run to the next one to go harvest that. The only time you should really prioritize harvesting over planting at any given time is when the crops are about to dry out. Also, at normal difficulty right now, it's not a priority to build a dam. I know, but for right now, just focus on getting yourself down some sustainable food with some carrots. Also, I'm going to rush these gathering flags to be built because I want people to start building them. We're also now starting to work on the science building, and you can see that when someone is super tired, they're just going to fall asleep. Oh, that's also a baby, so that doesn't count. They're always tired. We now have someone working here. Oh, that's because they grew up. I forgot to staff it. Oh, my favorite way to restaff things, I just pause the district center, and then I unpause it, and then people will go and find other jobs. If I see that there are no unemployed beavers, that obviously means that something is awry. And because I just put both of these down, I'm actually going to pause that one. That way we only have this one gathering happening. And we always have at least 1 person working and building things. This guy, hang on, pause the game. This guy is just sitting on his big old lazy tail. Yes, he is. Now that could happen for a couple of reasons. 1, there's no more trees left to cut. 2, his current log stash is full. We have 37 logs, honestly, very reputable amount. So I'm going to pause him. And is another one of these full? No, the other ones are fine. So we are going to put down a lumber mill and also a power source. It's up to you if you want to do a power wheel at the beginning, which is great. It's power anytime that you need, especially for that lumber mill. The biggest drawback to that is that it requires someone to actually run in the power wheel. A water wheel, on the other hand, will make it so that anytime that the water is flowing, you are going to be having power. If you put the power wheels on any place that has an angle, it's sort of hit or miss. But if you put on anywhere that's a straight path, like right here, it's going to be a much more constant flow of power. So I'm going to put this down, and obviously these trees are in the way, which is fine because we need to chop those down anyways. And the lumberjack building is going to be about that size, so I'm going to put that right there. And now we're, can I get a path there? No, this guy's in the way. That's fine. We'll tell you what, after you're done picking these berries, fast forward. Thank you. Now that it's done, I'm going to choose to demolish this, and I want high priority for demolishing it. Someone is then going to come over and destroy it. That's absolutely fine. I no longer need those berries. Great. I'm going to mark these trees to be cut. After this is cleared out and this is built, we're going to put down that building. In addition, once this guy is done putting down carrots, we're going to be pausing that because, well, I don't need him to do anything until these are grown, and it takes 4 days for carrots to grow, so again, not a priority. This guy is also done with all of his burying, so I'm going to unpause that one and pause that one. At the beginning of the game, when you have such a small amount of your litter, you just got to keep toggling things on and off, and that's the best way to get through the early game. In addition, we should definitely have someone working the science building. So I'm going to pause another thing to make sure that we have science going down. Now that we are done planting all of the carrots, Zolkaz is just sitting on his big old lazy tail. I'm going to pause that building, and we're only going to resume it once the carrots are done. I know, this is a lot of information, especially just for the beginning of the game. Now that we have this small lumberjack flag planted down, this person is actually going to be actively just chopping away at these trees, which is great. So now the builders, instead of running all the way over there for the wood that we've collected so far, they're just going to grab it from here. Despite the fact those guys were, oh yeah, there we go. So when there's no logs there, then they will run to the other side and grab them. And this is, oh, water wheel is done. Great. Pausing the game. And we are going to put down a lumber mill right near. Again, at the beginning of the game, your trees are limited significantly more on other levels than this one. Like in some of the levels, you'll have half of these trees or literally the exact proper amount of logs. And this is all you can put down at the beginning of the game until you unlock the foresting building, which is almost done being built. So bigger priority on that. Great. It's all done. We have someone in there. If you did choose to do the power wheel, which is nice because it doesn't need to be by the water, which is precious fertile land, you could have it back here. But it requires someone to run in that wheel. So now this guy is going to go and he's going to grab wood from wherever he can. He's going to bring it inside of here and he's going to convert these logs into planks. These planks are going to show up over here, and I believe we need 7 of them in order for the Forrester. We also need 60 science, and that's the reason that this guy's been hard at work. The good news is, now we are done with everything. This is the setup for playing the game properly. If you have this down and you still have some trees left, you are in golden territory. Because now you can start spamming down water tanks. Now the question is, how many water tanks do you need? No one knows this answer. I know this answer. I mean, people do know the answer, but there's some simple math. Each full-grown beaver requires 3 water a day to fully fulfill their thirst. So, if I have 11 beavers, 11 times 3 is 33. And now how many days of drought do I want to prepare for? As we previously established at the beginning of the game, where I'm only going to have to face about 3 days of drought. That means that at worst case scenario, I'm going to need 90 water. I want to be a little over prepared, so we're going to build 4. And in addition, one of them is going to be high priority, secondary, tertiary, tertiary. I think tertiary is the word. But now this person, instead of whenever they're done pumping water, just sitting down, instead, they're going to actually start working on that. In addition, you're going to notice that probably about this time, you may have your first beaver die of old age. In order to extend their life, they have to have actually a place to sleep, in a lodge. So we can use this opportunity to put down some houses. I like to put these away from everything. I'm going to literally just plop them here in the back, and I want housing for 12. So I'm going to plop these down, I'm going to put a path between all of them, and a path up to the main strip. Think of this as your boulevard, and then these are your side streets. And for this faction, in order to get new baby beavers, you have to go to the leisure tab, and you have to build a campfire. You only need 1 campfire. They take turns. Also, anytime that they use the campfire, that's going to bring up their social life all the way, increasing their fertility and chance to reproduce. They will not make babies if there is not proper housing because they don't want their babies to be homeless. Makes sense. Oh, this person's thirsty. Hang on. Where are you right now? Oh, you're about to go get water. Great. How much water is here? 6. Now you're going to go glump, and boom. Now down to 3. As I said, they drink that many waters. But anyways, their social meter goes up after sitting at the campfire, and then it goes down very slowly. So I believe it's every 3 days they need to sit there. But if there's nothing to do, then they'll just all go sit there at one point or another. We can now also think about a little bit of storage. With all the different lumberjack flags we have down, again, they could each hold 20 logs. This one still has 17. So we don't really need a log storage right now, although it would be nice at this time to put down a small warehouse in order for us to store our berries and our carrots. Again, we want them off of the berries as soon as possible. Berries are okay beginning a game food source, but not once we have carrots, because carrots not only fulfill hunger, they also fulfill nutrition 1, which gives them a 30% life expectancy boost. Every single day they're going to require something to eat, and just like I mentioned with the social life, the nutrition 1 will go down about 25% every single day. So every 4 days, they need a carrot to keep the nutrition 1 up. That's the reason that they always prefer the carrots over the berries. So if you're always thinking, why are they not eating the berries? It's because carrots are better for them. The beavers can die? Yes. They can either die of thirst, hunger, or old age. Or you can blow them up with TNT. Now that we're actively working on these pumps, oh, we have 3 people unemployed because people grew up. Great. I'm going to have more people build things, which is great. And we can also resume one of these so we could... Oh, that still has 20 logs. All right, so we can start tackling these trees a little bit more. We're almost at 60 science, and I'm going to come back once we have 60 science. I lied. We now have carrots done. So now it's going to be time for us to unpause this building and make sure that we have one person. Also, that's a rush. Need to make sure that this is built. And we have 15 logs, so I'm going to reduce one of the workers. You should always have like 15, 20 logs before you actually have a log pile storage, because that means that you're going to be able to make sure that, you have a constant flow of logs coming in and out. So as this guy is going to take these carrots away, then he's going to come replant these, and then immediately harvest these. Nice. Also, let's talk about storage, because I have a way of storage working, and no one else seems to do it. When you're on this screen, that means that all of these items can possibly be in here. I don't want that. I want dedicated storage for one specific thing. So I'm going to choose none, none. The first none means that none of them are allowed, and I'm going to choose carrots to be on. The default desired that's going to be here is 20, means that people are actively going to put 20 carrots in here. But I'm going to put it to none right now. That means that these carrots aren't going to be actively pulled from here. This can hold 50 carrots, so only once this is full are they going to bring it over there. I mean, they may do it random times anyways, but it's fine. The lumberjacks transport goods between warehouses when idle. When there's nothing for this person to do, they'll bring it over. When there's nothing for them to do, they'll bring it over. It just kind of gives them something to do idly. Also, at the beginning of the game, I'm also going to allow berries to be in here. That way, this person is going to bring their berries over and we'll be good. Also, we're now up to 12 planks, which is the most that this building can hold, 13. So I'm going to pause it. They don't need to be there anymore until we're ready with the Forrester. And look, we're ready with the Forrester. We unlocked the Forrester for 60 points, and now it's our choice of where we want to put it down. Since we have this huge abandoned forest here, I think this is going to be a great place for us to put it. I'm going to put it down right there, extend that path just ever so slightly, and now we get to choose what trees to put down. Birch are good for a quick little burst of trees. So if you're really desperate for trees, put down some birch. After birch, maple. Maple all the way. You're also going to notice that some places can't be built. That's because these saplings are still growing up. Only after those saplings are done being grown up, then can you actually plant them down. Oh, neat. So check this out. Now that we have 4 houses down, you'll see that we have lodging for 12. We only have 11. And now that this campfire is done, we now have the ability to have their fertility be increased And with this housing existing, if we click on one of these guys, they can have their comfort level go up, which increases their life expectancy and their walking speed, which means that they're going to be more productive, live longer, and anytime that they're in a childhood state, we are losing productivity. So now is the first time that you can take them off of a 24-hour shift. The only extracurricular thing that they can do is this campfire, which is next to our houses, so they don't need a lot of free time. I usually land at somewhere between 19 to 20 hours, and with only 12 people right now, I think 20 hours is going to be fine. I'm going to check tonight. Also, all of our water is done. This isn't staffed. We should probably staff that. Let's do a staff refresh by pausing the district center, because we're not actively building anything, and now they're going to start planting down trees. Nice. In addition, we could definitely pause some lumberjacks because there's no trees to be cut down. Like, literally 0 trees to be cut down over here. And you're going to see that there's a whole bunch of stumps lying around. I'm just going to put down maples because that's what I want to eventually have anyways. Also, a neat little thing. The V button will always bring you back to a center focus, and you can program that however you want by doing Control V. In addition, if you go into your settings, you'll have an option there to unlock the camera, which means that you can hold down the right button and then you could get different angles. You could also clip into the ground, which is weird. But so say for example, you want a nice cinematic angle like this, and that's how you want to start off. You could just save that and then move around, do some more tactical stuff, hit V again, and you're back to the nice pretty angle. Know what I mean? Although I like something that I get to see everything at a glance. Because I might look and I might get super involved in this small area, and then I need sort of a bigger picture. I just hit this button again. Also, this guy's done with his berries, so I'm going to pause him. I'm going to delete this gathering flag, and we're going to choose to delete all of these berries, because these berries are useless for these beavers. They provide no nutrients, they're just sweet and delicious. And I don't want sweet and delicious, I want bonuses. Let's keep one active, because there are some trees. So let's go from there. In addition, we have 35 logs. We have all the water we need. We have housing. I'm not going to recommend having more than 12 right now. You should not expand your population before the first dry season. So I'm going to put down a log pile right outside of my trees. That way now we're going to be able to store some logs. And you can see all these pine trees that were saplings before, they're sprouting up everywhere. And this guy, he's planted down all these trees, which is great. He's going to focus on whichever are closest to him and then work out in a circular manner from there. It's sort of a circle and it's sort of a sideways square. Same thing with the crops. Like you're going to notice that if I rotate like this, it's a square. It's not really a circle. It's kind of a circle. How, like if you play Minecraft, you have the 3 and then the 1 and then the 1 and then the 3 and then the 1 and then the 3, so on and so forth. If you're going to notice right here, over the last 2 days, we did have someone die and we had someone be born. So, circle of life. This is pretty much all you need now for the beginning of the game and to survive your first dry season. From here is just a matter of you can scale up as much as you want because you're going to have trees. I don't recommend scaling up until you have more logs and more trees. Only once this is full should you really start scaling up to anything else. And by scaling up, I mean having bigger population. Because you need all the food to sustain it, and you need all the water to sustain it. And then you get into what I call the early mid-game, which the number one thing for all early mid-game is a hauling post. Hauling posts are basically dedicated people that have twice the strength of regular people, and because of that, their productivity is through the roof. So if you have water tanks down, you only need one pump, okay? Only one pump. Only one pump for the beginning and beginning early game. You put down a hauling post. I'm going to put it right there. We are going to need some planks. 10 planks. I don't have that many, so we need to resume this building. We don't even really need storage for the planks yet. Okay. Great. We have someone working there. Let's fast forward. All right. Now that we're on 20-hour shifts, I want to look, and if we look right here, people's social life is not filling up properly. So let's bring it down to an 18-hour shift. And now more people are going to be able to use this area in one night. This guy, while he's sitting here, social life goes up. He stopped, and now they do like little shifts and rotation. This place just needs 3 more planks, and then we're good for hauling. Honestly, once you have the hauling post down, your food becomes more productive, your water becomes more productive. Have plenty of food. this thing holds 200 food, which is enough for, again, they eat 3 food a day. So that's 200 divided by 3 food a day, divided by 12 beavers, because I always go by my max house. That's enough for 5.5 days of food. So I think we're fine for just the one. And honestly, the next thing you should be expanding to is 2 different types of food. Just one person in the farmhouse, right? If the person is not keeping up, prioritize building by haulers. The haulers who work here, Kia, will now go around and take carrots out of here and put them where they belong. If the water is not keeping up, then we can have the haulers help as well. All of these things then make the water more productive, the food more productive, because this person, Seji, instead of having to pump and then stop when one of these is empty, they will just continue pumping and the hauler will take things out, and the hauler who has ×2 strength will be able to take more water than Seji could. And yeah, now it's just a matter of waiting for these trees to grow. And honestly, if you wanted to, now we are 3 days away from the dry season. We have plenty of food. All of these crops can die. I don't care. And we have plenty of water. And we are not too bad on logs either. Actually, now that we're 3 days away from the dry season, I would like to prioritize harvesting and maybe even a second person in here, just to help them out. Crops do not grow during the dry season. These guys they're in a good rotation. Actually, it's still a little early. I'll wait for the last day for this, because now we have haulers to help, so they're going to be more efficient. This graph here on the left is going to help you really organize exactly who's doing what. Always have science go. Always. And after you have the Forrester down, in my opinion, the next thing that you should get is stairs. Stairs and platform, which is 170 in total. Because stairs make it so, I mean, this level has a little slope right here. Stairs make it so you can reach areas that you couldn't before. Alternatively, if you're on an area that doesn't have a lot of water, or a path like this, you can go and get a levee. Levees are a full block. Dams are a half block. So the water will have to build past 0.5 meters, which right now it looks like it's, I'd say about 0.35 meters. Levees are cheaper than dams. I don't have enough science point for it. And it will actually make it so more water retains in here and it leaves slower. Now, we're about to hit the dry season, and I chose them to start building a dam. I knew that I was not going to build it in time, and oh, I now have enough science for the levees. Great. You also may see this where it says this construction site is too far from builders. That means that they can't reach it. And specifically in the area that they reach is 1 block in every direction from where they're standing. So if they're standing here, they could build below, to the side, on a diagonal, above on a diagonal. If they're standing right there, think of it as the 9 spaces above, the 8 spaces around, and the 9 spaces below them. That is all the places that they can build. If there's a path here that they can walk, then they are absolutely fine. But we should probably build that out so that they can walk here freely. And the district center, you're going to notice this little line. This line, the further away that you get, the redder it gets. And eventually it's going to come to an end. When it's at the end, you're not going to be able to go past there any further without either making a new district center, moving your current district center, or optimizing your lines. So from here, it's a straight line all the way down. That is the fastest that that line could be. But over here, see how we go up and then we go back down? We're now actually doubling back, which is going to increase the length of that line. So if that line is ever too red, that means you need to have straighter paths. Welcome to your first drought. First of all, the music is terrifying. You're probably going to have between 2 and 4 days at the very beginning. You're going to notice that the water is going to stop from over here. And if you're watching this video and you needed these tips and tricks, you are familiar with this site. The lushness disappears, things start to wither and die. If you have not erected your dam yet, and I'm obviously not because I didn't start attacking these trees yet, which in hindsight I probably should have. In fact, let's start working on that during this dry season there, fellas. So I'm gonna put down a path there, and rush that being built, please. So now these guys, actually, oh, why do I have 2 here? Oh, because dry season was coming. And actually, because we have a little bit of a dam, we still have a little bit of hydration, not a lot. Like this is probably like 0.1 meters. I'm also gonna pause that. Now here's an interesting thing. Water, in addition to flowing out, it's slowly flowing as you can see, but it will naturally evaporate. I think that's a game mechanic. Also, it looks like it's kind of falling off of the map if you clip in with open camera. But it does seem like it is an intended idea that it does evaporate because, you know, water does evaporate, especially when the land around it is dry. So that makes sense. And as long as you have water in here and this remains lush, then these are actually going to keep remain hydrated and keep being... Oh, nope, never mind. Okay, forget everything I said. Everything is dead. Everything is going to die. These guys, even though they are still focused on planting, these will wither out in 2 days. I actually believe that they can gather all this in 2 days. They're also not going to plant anything in dry land, so they are only going to be harvesting, which is good. This area is still a little hydrated because this area is giant. Oh, nope, never mind. It's all dead. It's gonna die. You can't plant anything in the dry season, and you aren't chopping anything in the dry season. So what is there to do in the dry season? Well, if you have a stockpile of logs, which I don't, you could start working on converting them. We don't need that there anymore. Oh, sorry, guy. You can cut down all these trees. In addition, we have some berries that we can harvest that we paused before. Let's unpause that. All of this remains paused. We still have our sciencer going. And we can actually cut down on the amount of things that need to be built because honestly, there's nothing that we can build. Except more lumberjack flags right here. While these people have nothing to do, we might as well have them work on this. Beavers will die of old age, beavers will be born, beavers will grow up, and you're going to maintain about 10 to 12 people as long as you have these housing down and the campfire. Let's make sure everyone's social is up. Not really. Let's give them 17 hours. We're slowly working toward the full 16. Now that we're in the dry season, these still have a day and a half. If food is a major concern, you can push this for 24 hours. But then they lose all the social buffs and the comfort buff and the life expectancy buff. So it does kind of sort of balance out, but not in a good way. Now, also, here's the math. How much water do I have? 96. How many beavers do I have? 11. They consume 3 a day, so that's 33 times 1.5 days. So 33 times the drink at the end of the day, so 2 full days, they require 66 water. At the end of the dry season, I will have approximately 30 water left, which is great. It's good to know exactly how much water that you're going to have for the dry season. However, come next season, I would like to literally double down my water tank storage. A lot of people think that you need to have yourself a huge amount of water supply, and your water, oh yay, beavers are happier than ever because now they're all social. And they're all have nutrition 1. Which was the bonus from them eating carrots, which gives them life expectancy plus 30. So our next thing that we have to do is work on nutrition 2. So now we're going to see that these carrots have withered and died. These are about to wither and die. They're going to change to orange from beige. They are now dead. And if this guy is still focusing on planting, he will actually just plant over the carrots, which is fine. This is actually a good opportunity for us to stop planting carrots. I'd say 3 rows. And now I want to plant potatoes. And boom, we just overwrote the carrots with potatoes, which is fine. So we're gonna do that, and then under the food tab, we have the grill. The grill requires 1 potato and 1/10 of a wood to create 4 servings of grilled potatoes, which is great. So now I would like storage right here. Yeah, I'm gonna face it this way. This just happened to work out perfectly, by the way. That was not exactly planned. I'm gonna have storage of raw potatoes, the grill, and the cooked potatoes. And the bonus for potatoes, nutrition 2, is strength plus 30. That means that every single person is gonna be able to carry more, which is great. Also, unemployed, I just boost up how many people can haul stuff, because that just makes everything more efficient. These guys could cut down trees, more people bring the logs over, we stockpile our logs for the season. And in addition, these trees, I no longer want them to plant down the birches. The birches will grow up, and then just nothing will exist there. Once I see that it's empty tab, just like that again, I'm gonna throw down more maples. How close are these to being grown? Well, those are maple seedlings. Those don't supposed to be maple. I thought those were supposed to be birches. But we have a few birches, like 77, 79, 81. So that'll start in about 2 days. And congratulations, you survived your first drought. Yay, the water's gonna continue and you're gonna do just fine. Also, let's increase our builders and let's pause the hauling post so everyone else's jobs are refilled. Let's resume water pumping. Again, hauling post so we restock our jobs. And Forrester, they need to get back to work. And we still have 1 hauler. Great. We also need to make sure that this building is going. So let's reduce our builders. Again, I'm just pausing buildings until everything has the proper staff, until these large buildings have everyone that they need. So now you have 2 people here. You're currently planting. I also want to get rid of this 1 berry bush because I hate berries. We are now pumping water. And because we just started off the season, I do want haulers to help them out a little bit more. So now that we have 8 tanks down, you may be thinking to yourself, do I need a second pump? Now that we have haulers helping out the water pump, they should be able to refill. So let's keep an eye on our water at the end of every day. This day ended with 57 water. How much is it tomorrow night? Little pro tip that I like to do, whenever I'm building these buildings, I don't put the path in front of the warehouse. Because again, it defaults to everything. And I don't want everything. I just want potatoes. That's it, just potatoes. And now that you have your defined thing that you're gonna be storing, now you could do that. And see this one, none, and I want grilled potatoes. And we could have someone in here and turn this on and off depending if we have a good amount of potatoes or not. All right, end of day 2. Last night it was what, 67? Now we're at 74. That either means that we need more haulers or more pumps. Honestly, I'm just gonna stay the 1 pump and make sure that I have haulers staffed. Oh, look! We can finally chop down more local trees, locally sourced wood. With that, fun little trick here, we are going to no longer cut down all of these trees. Instead, I'm going to make it so only every other lane of tree is allowed to be cut. So all these will be cut, and then their saplings may drop off, and without even having a forester here, we're gonna have more trees, which is neat. Oh, also, our dam is complete. Hot dam. Actually, if we're looking here, I could have probably done 1 more levee and 1 less dam to keep this water a little bit higher. Although it comes the dry season, doesn't really make a difference anyways. Even though I am yielding a positive 30 water per day, I'm just gonna throw another one down. Just so I have the option to double down. You know what I mean? Like, soon as the dry season is over, if I want to make sure that I'm going to be good on wood, I'll throw a second pump down. With the second water pump down, fun fact, this is now considered a water outlet in addition to flowing out. So at nighttime, this water flows heavier, and during the day while I'm pumping, it flows lighter. And you're going to see now we are yielding significantly more water per day. If these tanks are getting full, then you could choose for one of them to not be prioritized by haulers. And then if you're still getting full after every night, the second one, not prioritized by haulers. And then if you're still getting full, you pause one and you turn one with haulers back on. So it's all a matter of that. In addition, there's this weird thing that they'll run around and try to even out the amount of water because all of them have full demand. So I like to make the ones that are directly in front of the pumps desired, and the ones that are further from the pumps, these ones, not desired. So you're gonna see right now, they're gonna take all this water out and they're gonna put it into these 4. These 4 are gonna be fully full, good. After these 4, because that's also the closest path, perfect. Then they're gonna start working on these 4. And now that I have 4 icons, I know that I have 120 water ready to go at all times. Oh, like I just mentioned, now we're very full of water. So you no longer be prioritized by haulers. I'm just gonna do both for right now. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna jump down 2 stages, so 1 is prioritized and 1 is off. Because I need some hands on some other things. We are starting to get potatoes in, but not really a lot. These guys are also kind of struggling to keep up. I'm probably gonna put down a second farmhouse. And it's not that much of a rush, so I'm just gonna clear this planting area and this path area. So this area, once these things are grown, they're no longer to be planted there. And let's put some potatoes out to the right and potatoes a little bit further down. So once these are grown and gotten out of here, then I'm gonna put down a second farmhouse. And neat little trick I do for farmhouses. Let's wait till that's grown. Now we have 2 farmhouses, and what I like to do with 2 farmhouses, right, 1 worker in each, both of them prioritized by haulers. 1 is going to focus harvesting, 1 is going to focus planting. 1 is going to focus carrots, 1 is going to focus potato. So he's going to harvest potatoes, then he's going to plant potatoes. Then he's going to harvest carrots, then he's going to plant carrots. He is going to plant carrots and then harvest carrots and then plant potatoes and then harvest potatoes. And honestly, now that we're at 29-ish potatoes and now we actually have some people doing potatoes, I think we have too many carrots. All right, so I'm going to focus you planting potatoes, you harvesting carrots. It's just a matter of tweaking it and finding what works for your specific layout, because potatoes take longer to grow, so it's important that you always replant them immediately. Carrots, not so much. You know what? I mean, some people like doing it like this. I've tried it both ways. I'm just going to keep it on planting, because this area is going to stay super hydrated. Yeah, I'm not really worried. Both focus planting. Thank you. And now that we have 33 raw potatoes, let's start cooking some potatoes. In my opinion, you do not need to have this prioritized by haulers until your cooked potatoes are not keeping up. Because he is going to make so many potatoes, transfer them all in one big rush, and this building holds 120. Like, haulers are just going to eventually make their way over here. You're fine. We're kind of full of carrots, but we do still have some berries in here. Oh, the berries are not in here. Oh, they're in here. Great. Good. No longer berries. I hate berries. Berries are horrible. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pause the game. We're going to delete the district building. That's how much I hate berries. We're going to put the district building back down, put it back up to 4. Unemployment is going to fluctuate a lot. And then we're going to do the toggle right there, and now boom, everyone is properly employed. And look, beavers are happier than ever. We're at level 7 because everyone got a big potato. Now that everyone has a big potato, nutrition 2, they have strength plus 30, so they're going to be able to haul more stuff. That was weird. This is the first time I've ever had a baby be born past the amount of housing that I have. That's weird. Games are weird. You can no longer chop things down. But did this work? We have 3 saplings so far. Well, that's neat. You're not really doing anything, my dude. Great time to talk about expanding your forest. So he's done up there, right? I'm now going to look to the other side of the river, over here, and what's a good range? This seems to be one of the best balances that I can cut down things. So let's pop down 2 lumberjack flags. I'm going to pause them because obviously we can't do anything quite yet. Run out of path. There. Path going out that way. Path going out that way. Remember, paths are free. Might as well put down some paths. And now this is going to be our next maple forest. And this is going to be sort of our reserve / long-term trees. In addition, we make sure that we allow everything to be cut. Every single tree could be cut. The whole map is allowed to be cut, except this method, but I don't even need that anymore because now we have this forest. It's coming along nicely. We have our first birch grown up. In addition, you only need the lumberjack flags to be prioritized by haulers if you're in a case that you desperately need wood, but typically you don't. And we're about to enter our second drought. We have 255 water. Which 255 divided by 3 water a day divided by 12 pups is enough for 7 days. We are more than fine. However, we could never have too much water. So I would like to put down 4 more tanks. 4 more tanks. And now that we're in the dry season, I'm actually going to pause that building because I want this water to remain full so that my crops continue to grow. Also, by the way, I do know that the way people from New Jersey say water may be infuriating for some, so I apologize. And you know what? I don't care. And honestly, I think we're pretty much all set here for the early game. There's no real reason to go over anything else about how to do anything, but as you noticed, I'm still doing all this with 12 people. We're doing just fine with water production. In fact, we're going to build these additional tanks now. That's going to be enough water for triple our population. And honestly, the big potatoes are struggling to keep up, but they kind of always do. I killed all of these berry bushes because this is going to be food area part 2. Because it's so close to the main food area. And honestly, now if you want to build up, go to 15. Heck, if you're feeling crazy, even 18 beavers. But now's also the chance that you could actually get into some fun things, like building larger dams, larger reservoirs, messing around with floodgates. If you want to put down additional science buildings for the dry season to do big science rushes, you're more than welcome to do that. We haven't even had our first maple burst yet. Actually, it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to path over here and put down a row of levees and then a row of dams. That way all of this remains hydrated, or even just a row of dams so there's some water. You know what I mean? Let's talk about power and power distribution. I have this down here, but this is precious fertile land. And if I end up putting all of my gear buildings and plank buildings down here, I'm literally just taking away from fertile land, and this doesn't need to be fertile land. I could totally take all of my plank and gear production and put it up here, even though all of my wood stuff is here. Actually, if all my wood stuff is here and here, I should probably have my gear buildings up here. So this is close wood, that is far wood, this is food. Think about it like a giant grid. That's food, this is wood, and wood refinement. We need wooden stairs, so we want to build up, build a path out, get rid of this building, because I want it to be a nice full circle like that, always circles. And then up here is where I'm going to start working on my buildings. I usually put down at least like 3 lumber mills. We also need to get rid of all these dead trees up here. 3 lumber mills, and then for power, I love water wheels, except on hard mode, because they're useless. You can actually... Also, if you didn't know, beavers can swim. I know that's a silly sentence, but you could do that, and now they can be in the water. So you can literally just do that, and now you have all of this power. And then for bringing the power over, it's up to you on how you want to do it. For me, I'm going to take these platforms, put these platforms here under the power. You have your sharp turns, and you have your straight gears coming down. And later on, when I'm more flush with wood, I could definitely raise all this up 1 level. And there is sort of a big cutoff here that the high power shaft requires a gear, and you're not going to have gears yet. And getting gears is very expensive. So I would do a path like that, a path over, and then we would do another power shaft there. Also, all of this is so cheap. They're just logs. They're not even refined logs. Watch out for building in corners, because if they can only access it from this side, sometimes they get a little temperamental about the corner stuff. But that's going to be the full power system that we want in place. And that's going to be plenty of power. You should never have your power take up fertile land. You really, really shouldn't. It's going to just cut into your productivity overall. Like if you put all of your productivity here, that means that now your food is further away. People need to move further. It's a horrible logistic mess. This patch of land here, maybe even moving this back slightly further, is definitely enough food to sustain even 40 beavers. You know, our only real major downfall here is we need gears in order to get the power up and running here. So I may even choose to just do a little cheeky thing, and right here, while we're still building all this, the gear workshop, once I have enough science, which is in, I don't know, a couple of minutes, I'm going to be able to put down this gear workshop. And then these water wheels, once they're all built, they're going to be able to provide me those gears. So all of this is higher priority for right now. All of this is now regular priority. I'm even going to just pause that being made because I don't know exactly where I want to put it down. And I don't need these to be made either because we're not up there yet. Gears are cheap. The problem with gears is you make 1 gear for the time that you make 1 plank. So for a 1-to-1 ratio, you need 1 lumber mill and 2 gear workshops. And that's just a mess. And now that we have this, you're going to see that they can go into the water. Yeah, that was sort of a big post on the Reddit when people were like, I should have realized beavers can swim. And look, they put the log between their legs and they swim over to it. It's adorable. I love it. Also, if you didn't know, power goes through buildings. So if I put this here, you'll even see the little pop-up that says shares power with adjacent buildings. That means that I don't need a gear or a water wheel or anything going into this building on any side. It will share power. It's a little bit different when going through different floors though, which is a little bit of a pain, but also warehouses share power. So you could put this on top, run a gear into the, run a power shaft into the bottom, and this will have power. Same thing with your district center, and even houses share power. So you could get pretty creative with your setups, and you don't need a lot of gears. I did not know that in my first playthrough, and I built a very nice gear looking setup until someone told me. And one last tip, one very last tip, ruins. Ruins are so far away, so very far away. In fact, let's run paths over there to see exactly how far away these ruins are. If I click my district center, I'm in a straight line all the way down, and you're gonna see we come up just shy of the ruins. Now, if I wanted to start harvesting the ruins, I would need to go to metal, get the scavenger flag, put the scavenger flag down. And then I also need to put the shredder down, which requires a lot of gears, which you probably want it in order to do explosives and the paper mill. And then there's a huge learning cliff in order to do all of this. So you shouldn't prioritize this at all, unless water is a huge concern for you, which it shouldn't be. Instead, focus on your forests, plant your forest down, build levees up before you dynamite down. Okay? Big thing. Big words here. In order to reach that, it's a little cheeky. Delete the district building. Put it down somewhere. Still in your main town. If you notice, I still have the red lines coming over here. So this is a little bit further now, but we can now reach the ruins. Put down the scavenger flag right there, and he will get that, and boom, you have metal. That's it. That's all you have to do. Make sure to put this back up. Employment is going to fluctuate greatly. People are like so confused on how districts work and everything else. You don't need to set up a second district to get your first little piece of metal. You could just do that, and it works just fine. And I think that's one of the biggest helpful tips I could give you. And I'm sorry I saved it for the very end of the video. Actually, someone in my chat just said, does that mean you could use a stack of houses instead of getting these? Yes, absolutely could. We're on the floor here, but if I wanted to, instead of this, I could put down 2 houses, stack them on top of each other. It will share power, so power goes in here, transfers up a floor, and then goes out that way. Here's gonna be a little bit more tight, like a taiga. But you could do that. And then of course, to enter here, you would just do stairs and a platform and make sure you always have paths going to it. And that would be completely functional. Yes, it would. But you know my thoughts, views, and opinions on sharing nice fertile land for things like houses, where I could just put that there and that there. And now I'm taking up 2 spaces instead of, what was that? 4, 5, 6 spaces. That's like more food. Under the leisure, temple is somewhat cheap, somewhat kind of expensive for early game, but it provides spirituality. It holds a lot of beavers in there, and spirituality increases the working speed by 30%. So the buff of spirituality, nutrition 1 and 2 means that they live longer, they have more strength, and they work faster. And that's a great combination to have for early game. Well, I think I went on for long enough, and I shared, building lacks workers. Yes, that's supposed to lack workers. I went on for long enough. I hope that I do want to rush that building. I hope that this video was able to help you out if you're going to be playing or streaming on twitch.tv, making a YouTube series, just playing on your own, or just if you watched this video and you're watching someone new, you can actually just give them some of these helpful tips. And yeah, I know this is a weird one-off game, not really part of the channel format, but I'm playing this game. I'm enjoying it a lot. If you have a PC, this game just came out in early access. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. If you made it to the end of the video without falling asleep me talking about beavers, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button down below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. Until next time, Austin John out.